SSJ is presented by Walker Medical Linen Services, locally owned and operated, and HLAC certified to the highest standards. Walker has partnerships with hospitals, surgery centers, and medical clinics in and around the metro area. Walker Medical Linen Services in Kansas City and online at walkermls.com.
Yeah, a ton. I mean, I'm in the perfect situation for me. You know, I'm playing in a place that, you know, I get to call home, and it's been awesome to call home the past 4 years, and I've really enjoyed it. So getting this opportunity is awesome.
Other than you got a couple of rings, what makes it?
Yeah. Well, just the guys around, coaching staff, everything is top notch here. Obviously getting to play with Pat, things like that. Just, you know, the whole situation is perfect for me. So I'm really happy to be here.
The Kansas City Royals.
Ripped down the right field line, toward the corner. It's fair, just off the top of the fence. It's a home run.
Yes! MJ will take it. It hit the yellow line up there. Wondered about it. Didn't have any height to it. It was on the line. Oh, man, what a break. They called it a homer.
Even MJ's a little bit confused. That ball came back into play. First base umpire Tom Hanahan ruled home run. Lifted to the left field corner. Long run for Melendez. He dives. He's got it. MJ Melendez saves at least a run with a tremendous diving catch. He gave the Royals the lead with his 3-run homer in the fourth. Now he preserves it.
Put that on the highlight reel. He's got a long one already, folks.
Third appearance of the year. He has been one of the best relievers in the game this season.
Man, oh man, he's only given up 3 home runs. 4.
In the air, deep to left center field. Quan to the track, turns around. It's out of here.
Believe it.
Bobby Witt Jr. gives the Royals the lead. A solo blast into the bleachers. And it's 4-3 in the top of the 8th.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, you know, we're not clearly talking about a win if he doesn't do those things. I mean, remarkable catch. Ball hung up there a decent bit, but to lay out the concentration, to have that stay in your glove too, is incredible.
It was a pretty quick challenge. I mean, it seemed like it was a home run right away. Were you pretty confident going out there?
Well, Duper said no doubt, you know, but, you know, I was most surprised that it got overturned initially.
High fly ball into deep left field, and Paul DeYoung has his 22nd home run of the year, and that's way back into the bleachers. And the Royals needed that after a sloppy bottom of the first. And it is 3-1. Lined into right center field. The Royals are going to tie the game as DeYoung comes around to score, and Blanco goes to third. So there's a hit with a runner in scoring position. Garrett Hampson is to go directly into the glove for a foul tip strikeout. In the air, left center field, and that's deep. There's RBI number 90 and home run number 24. And the Royals become the first team in the major leagues to have 3 hitters with at least 90 RBIs. The Royals, more importantly, are back out in front.
That's why he didn't want to give him anything. I can't understand that. Oh!
Fly ball, left center field, gone! 6 RBIs for Salvi tonight.
How could you try to sneak a piece of cheese by a hungry captain?
Thank you, my friend.
Ain't gonna work.
Thank you, my friend.
And that is the captain locked in. That 3-1 pitch, he didn't flinch on it.
We like to compete, you know, and the really good thing we do inside that clubhouse, whatever happens, you know, we try to just, we're not gonna get it back. So if we lose the last 2 games and home, you know, we just come into Cleveland, concentration, it's time to win the first 2 games.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's Tuesday, August 27, 2024. Stephen St. John. We've got Nate Bukaty with us for a couple of hours. Jake Gutierrez will be here the whole show. Today on the show, we will have our first conversation with Kansas head football coach Lance Leipold at 6:30. Kansas opens their season on Thursday night. Then we'll talk to former Royals reliever Jamie Bluma about the Kansas City Royals sweeping Cleveland in the doubleheader yesterday. Jeff Chadilla from NFL Network and NFL.com will be with us in the 8 o'clock hour in studio. 9:05, Annie Rogers from MLB.com with more on the Royals. And then at 9:30, appearance number 2 of the season for Mizzou quarterback Brady Cook. Let Brady cook as Mizzou starts their season on Thursday night. And the quarterback of New Day with SSJ, Brady Cook, will join us at 9:30. But we start off with the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, how about that? The boys are playing some ball, huh?
They go to Cleveland and they sweep the doubleheader. They win game 1 4-3 against Cleveland. Even though Cole Reagans had to leave the game due to cramps dealing with the heat, it was scary because when you see Salvador Perez calling for the trainer, you don't know what's wrong with Cole Reagans. So hopefully that's what it is. That's all it was, is dealing with some cramps, dealing with some heat issues. He was not sharp yesterday, and so his pitch count was already up very high, and so he wasn't going to be in the game much longer anyway. But the Royals win that game, and then they win the nightcap 9-4. And first of all, it was very impressive that the Royals only got 4 innings out of Cole Reagans in game 1, and then they only got 4 2/3 innings out of Alec Marsh in game 2, and they had to rely on their bullpen to come through in this doubleheader. Their much maligned bullpen. There have been some good parts of it. There have been some great parts of it, like Lucas Erceg. But if you would have told me yesterday that neither starting pitcher would get through 5 innings in either game against Cleveland, I probably would have said, oh no. But instead, the bullpen comes through. As Ian Kraft from the Royals tweeted out last night, the Royals bullpen in the 2 games combined, they get 2 wins. They pitch 9 1/3 innings. They give up 1 run, 6 hits, 6 strikeouts, and 2 saves. Daniel Lynch, who was called up yesterday, gets his first major league save as he throws 3 scoreless innings in his return to the big leagues. That certainly would be a welcome addition if we get that Daniel Lynch out of the bullpen down the stretch. I also thought that John Schreiber, who, if you remember a few games ago, got a save. I thought Schreiber coming in a 1-run game, a high leverage situation, and firing an inning and 2/3 of scoreless ball, no runs, no walks, a strikeout, and he gets the win ahead of Lucas Erceg coming in and pitching a scoreless inning. He did walk someone, but he gets, finally, it was his first walk as a member of the Royals. But after Chris Bubich looked shaky in his outing, giving up 4 hits and a run in an inning and a third, Schreiber and Erceg slammed the door. And we mentioned this the other day when Schreiber got the save. If Schreiber now has a fresh arm, is healthy, and is the Schreiber we saw early in the season, now after he's had that IL stint, and if he can be solid down the stretch, that would be a huge boost to the bullpen. And so Schreiber looked very good, throwing his inning and 2/3 of scoreless ball in game 1 and getting the win before Erceg comes in and gets the save. So many kudos and kudos to the bullpen for their performances in both games 1 and 2. And so then you look at the offense. I mean, look, and the defense too, because as you heard in the highlights that opened up the show, early on in game 1, it was the MJ Melendez show.
You got to give him some kudos for being able to do that.
I've done it. I did it. MJ Melendez hit a 3-run home run in game 1 that gave the Royals the lead. And then MJ Melendez, with a couple of runners on and 2 outs, made an outstanding catch that likely saved 2 runs. And so for a while we were watching the MJ Melendez game. 3-run home run, highlight catch, diving catch to save a couple of runs. And then late, Bobby Witt Jr. in a tie game on the road against the division leader hits a game-winning home run in the 8th inning. Big stage, big game, Big Bob, home run. Urseg shuts it down. Royals win 4-3. So you're feeling good. And then game 2 happens, and it's sloppy. And Cleveland scores 3 in the first. And Marsh doesn't look great, and the defense doesn't look good. And you're thinking, come on. You just won game 1. What are you coming out looking like this for? But the Royals scored a run in the second. The Royals scored a run in the third. And they just kept putting runs up on the board. Salvador Perez hits a home run. And then in the 6th inning, puts the game away with a grand slam. The pitcher had gone 3-1 on Salvi. And you're thinking, well, you can't walk him. Bases are loaded. And so Salvi is going to be able to be looking for a specific pitch here. And if he gets it, he's going to have a chance to crush it. And boy, did he crush it. 450-plus feet for the grand slam to put the game away. And if you look at the offensive stars in game 2, Michael Garcia went 3 for 4 with a couple of runs scored. Salvi was 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored, 6 ribbies, and 2 home runs. And again, this has just got to be devastating to the hot takers out there that continue to say Salvi won't be in the Hall of Fame.
I like to be happy.
And that just refuse to Keith Law. Oh, he's not even close. And all Salvi is doing is driving in 6, hitting 2 bombs, and helping his team get back to the playoffs.
Thank you, my friend.
By the way, Salvi has 25 home runs and 94 ribbies, and he's sitting on the slash line right now of 282, 341, 494.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, he's about done, right? He's not going to put up any good numbers the next couple of years. He's going to put up numbers as a catcher that will lead him to the Hall of Fame. And people like Keith Law will continue to argue against it with nonsense because they don't want to admit they're wrong. They don't want to admit they took a stance. Salvi's proved them wrong. He will continue because does it look like he's slowing up? Does it look like, you know what, 1 or 2 more years of Salvi is a productive hitter and then that's it? No, it doesn't. And you know what? Credit the Royals. Credit Matt Quatrero the way they've used him. Credit Freddie Fermin for being good enough behind the plate where they feel comfortable giving Salvi more opportunities at DH and first base. Stud. And the Royals are well on the way to having 3 hitters with over 100 runs driven in. Right now, they're the only team that has 3 hitters with over 90 runs driven in. Would also mention MJ Melendez again in the second game, had 3 hits. MJ Melendez, over the last month, go look and see what his slash line is and how he's performed. Very quietly, after being the not a fan favorite for what he did in the first half. But he's had, you know what, for a guy that hasn't had a great season, you could think of a bunch of clutch moments that he's had. Big hits. In that first game, that 3-run home run when the Royals needed it, that catch when they make the highlight reel of the season, that's on it. Because of the situation of where it was and what it led to, that's on it. So then he went 3 for 5 in game 2. Garrett Hampson, bless his heart. After a day after I questioned his spot on the roster, bless his heart, went 2 for 4 with a ribby after having an 083, 083, 083 slash line over the past 3 weeks. And he had a walk, just an on-base machine. Can't keep him off the base paths. And don't forget Paul DeYoung, who goes 2 for 4 with a couple of runs scored and another home run, just hitting bombs in a Royals uniform. And so shout out again to Paul DeYoung for continuing to make that trade look good. I mean, what a freaking doubleheader. What a day for the Royals. And then the Boston Red Sox, who right now they're the team on the outside looking in for a wild card spot that are chasing the Royals and the Twins. They have the opposite experience in a doubleheader. They get swept by the Toronto Blue Jays. The Minnesota Twins get beat by the Atlanta Braves. And so I tweeted out the standings before I went to bed last night. And I said, good night. And it was a good night. And also good night. Right now, in the AL Central, as you wake up today, Cleveland has a 1-game lead over the Royals.
1 game.
Cleveland is 75-57. The Royals are 74-58. The Royals now have created just a bit of separation between themselves and the Minnesota Twins. The Royals are a game and a half ahead of the Minnesota Twins. The Royals are in sole possession of second place, 1 game behind Cleveland. And look, that's where the focus needs to be. You got 2 more games against Cleveland. If you want to get cute, the Royals might leave Cleveland in first place. I don't know. They just swept them in a doubleheader. And oh, by the way, this season, the Royals are 6-2 against Cleveland. And so I'm not telling you to take your attention away from the division race, because it's been on. It is on. This team's a game out right now. And I mean, a game out with 30 to play. That's what we're down to. 30 to play. And they're a game out. Okay, that's exciting just by itself. But let me turn this up a notch. You just want to talk about playoffs. Playoffs? Playoffs.
Postseason.
And just their chance to make the playoffs. In the wild card race, Baltimore has the number 1 position. The Royals are 2 games behind them. And again, I told you, they are a game and a half now ahead of Minnesota. So the Royals are in the number 2 position in the wild card race.
Playoffs?
A game and a half ahead of Minnesota. But the top contender that's on the outside looking in, Boston, because that's what we're looking at here. What type of lead do the Royals have over the best non-wild card team? And right now, the Royals have a 6.5 game lead over Boston.
Playoffs?
So if we're just talking strictly playoffs, you don't need to do that because we can talk division title now. But if we're just talking strictly playoffs, the Royals have a 6.5 game cushion to make the playoffs with 30 games to play. Bookmark it. Stop for a moment what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. Listen to this.
You look funny.
30 games left, and they have a 6.5 game cushion to make the postseason.
That's a big lead.
Just think about that for a minute. It's a huge lead. It's a huge lead. 89.3% to make the playoffs right now at ESPN.com, if you look at the standings.
That's almost 90%.
They're 41-28 at home, and all of a sudden they're 33-30 on the road. So all this crap, they just win at home, stealing signs at Cobb Stadium. Well, I guess they're stealing signs everywhere now. Remember the accusations from Cleveland fans and everything? Oh, look at Bobby Wood Jr. Okay. This is wild. It's wild, bruh.
It's going to be fun.
That's the kind of day. It is fun. Ain't going to be. It is.
That's right.
You don't think yesterday was fun?
It was a lot of fun.
Nate's waiting for something else to happen. They just swept Cleveland in a doubleheader. It was fun. It is
about to get fun. Hey, don't throw that Dr. Pepper at me.
Somewhere. Now, and look, and what did I tell you, Jake? You lose those couple of games against Philadelphia, you're not just sit on your hands or like Nate does, sit on your thumbs.
Yeah.
You gotta do something.
Make a statement.
And yesterday, I told Scott Carroll, what did I say? I'm old enough to remember back in my day, if a guy was putting up numbers like Will Smith, he might come down with some shoulder fatigue.
I'm not sitting there sitting on my thumbs,
Right? Did I say that?
Absolutely, you said it.
I don't know. Maybe he
nice little IL stint.
Maybe his arm's not feeling right. And lo and behold, Will Smith has some back issues now.
My back.
And he went to the IL.
Spinal.
Okay. Angel Zerpa out to Omaha. And so now you get Daniel Lynch, and you saw what he did last night, and Carlos Hernandez back up. We'll see what they do with Marsh after that start now. If they make a transition to the bullpen, we'll have to see how Cole Reagans is. But that's right. You can't just, because Will Smith can't use him. Can't use him right now. Got to do something. Every game's too meaningful. You can't just sit there and let guys go out there and get blown up. Zerpa, you were good at one time this year. Thank you for your help. Got to go. Will Smith, leader. We brought you into veteran leadership. That's awesome. Your back hurts, doesn't it? It's tight. Boy, better get some rest. That's right. That's exactly what you got to do. You can't let those pitchers, you can't let bullpen guys that aren't getting anyone out just have a free pass. And the Royals did what they had to do for a little bit of a roster shakeup. And it already paid dividends out of that bullpen yesterday in both games. Royal sweep. Hey, and the Chiefs made a late-night trade. Late-night Veach. Brett Veach making moves when you're in bed dreaming about football. We'll talk about that after this on Sports 8810 WHB. Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's real funny. After Nate Bukaty moved on, he's in here from time to time. I'm lucky to have him fill in when I'm gone, and he'll come in once or twice a week. Real hard to get a hold of him now that he's Dr. Soccer. Real hard to get him to come in here. And all of a sudden, and he wasn't even scheduled to be here today. And all of a sudden he shows up, and he's, who's on the show today? It's 6:30. I mean, Lance Leipold. And then Nate just appears like a ghost. Hi, Nate.
How's it going? Thanks for letting me in.
Yeah. Let's welcome Kansas head football coach Lance Leipold to the show. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm doing well. Great to be with you once again. It's that time of year.
You can't get a hold of this guy sitting across from me because, he moved on. He moved on to greener pastures. But then
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware of that, Stephen.
Well,
so I apologize.
That's fine.
I need a quick update.
Well, here's your update. I can't get a hold of this guy half the time. Then you're on the show, and this guy's here with bells on, running around, making coffee. Wants to talk. All he wants to do is talk football.
Yeah.
And now he wants to talk football.
Yeah.
With the coach.
Yeah.
And so we're excited to have you. And I'm gonna tell you what, this is just 2 days away. I mean, I don't know how quick the offseason went for you, but I can't believe we're here, and you're just 2 days away from the season opener. How excited are you to stop answering questions from people like me and get this thing going?
I'm very excited, but nonetheless, I always enjoyed this last year and looking forward to do it again this fall. But yeah, it's been, has been talked about probably numerous times. It's been an exciting anticipation, I guess, to get this thing started. So, but anytime you go through it and you start fall camp, and it seems like you've got almost a month of preparation, and it seems like it's never going to come. And here we are, 48 hours almost away, and it's finally here. Our guys have worked hard. Our camp went well. We're fairly healthy. All those things. Now it's time to see what we're all about, and an exciting playing in different venues and all those things that hopefully will help us in the long run.
And one thing I wanted to ask you about. And I know we had talked about this just on the show last week, and Nate sent us an article last night. And then we'll focus on your team this year. But I'm sure you're pleased to see this. You get a kick out of this. This Jason Bean is setting Indianapolis on fire. They brought him in there to maybe maybe you could be a wide receiver, and all of a sudden he has reminded them that he's a quarterback, and they've written articles about him. He was. People have made the argument that he would put on the best performance. He was the best quarterback in the preseason in the NFL. You know what this kid meant to your program last year, and how Kansas fans love him. How tickled are you to see how well he's been playing in the preseason with the Colts?
Yeah, we don't get a chance to see a lot of the actual games, but to see the clips and read a few things here and there. Extremely proud of him. For a lot of reasons, Stephen. I don't know if, I can remember in my career a player who has really transformed themselves, kept improving this late in their career. And to see him take it and grow in maturity and really kind of prosper in a lot of different ways. And the thing was, obviously Chris Ballard, the general manager there, who was with the Chiefs at one time, his son's on our team. So, he kind of had an inside look at Jason through the year. Chris shows up at games and I didn't even know he was there, and things. So he got a lot of chances to watch him and saw the athlete that he was, and the little bit of interaction that I had with Chris during the camp was, he essentially said we're bringing 5 quarterbacks into camp, and if he doesn't show, then we're going to move him to receiver. But he's never even made that kind of like our plan was a year ago, was to try to dual train them, and we never really got to that point of doing it. So hopefully he gets good news today, but I know this, between that and being the first pick of the UFL draft, Jason Bean's going to keep playing football for a while.
All right, Coach. As Stephen might have indicated, I'm quite excited about your season that's getting ready to start. So I want to ask you some questions about this year's team. And I was reading articles getting ready for this, discussing the two deep that you put out and how different it was from last year, where you had, I think, 15 different cases of players listed as so-and-so or so-and-so at this position. And this year it's a little more cut and dry, at least according to the depth chart you put out. And I'm curious, is that a function of where you are as a team, that things are just clearer this year going into it, or is that a different approach on your end? Why would you say it's different like that when you look at the depth chart?
Well, first of all, man, I need to say, because I never did get back to you, I want to thank you for the handwritten note you sent me this summer, because that was very thoughtful and one of the nicer ones I've ever received. So I want to publicly thank you for that. And but I just decided to do it this way. In fact, coaches did have some ors and things like that, and sometimes you see what other schools are doing there. It used to be called a 2 deep, and then it ends up being a 5 deep, and I think it's so. Right now, we'll add some guys as it goes, but the ors get into a different situation. I just thought for the first week, if we kind of had it pretty clean, and not, it kind of cuts down on all the other speculation, other than a Kelvin Clements from Lawrence, Kansas here, who was hurt in the spring while he wasn't on the 2 deep. Well, he's still rehab. I mean, he's practicing, but he's just not where he was at the end of last year. So he'll be in that thing pretty soon and things like that. But just did it this way. But I'm sure. But at the same time, when you have 30 seniors, we are a veteran football team. It is a lot more cut and dry. When we arrived, 4 seasons ago, we were the youngest Power 5 football team in the country, and we've been very fortunate to keep most of those younger players in our program to get us to where we are today.
Lance Leipold is our guest. Coach, I saw Bill Belichick make an interesting comment. He was talking about the center position, and he said that people underrate how important the center position is. He said a good center will make the other 4 offensive linemen better, and a bad center will make everyone worse. And also the chemistry and relationship with the quarterback is so important. I know you had a healthy competition for your starting center spot. Tell us a little bit about that and what led to the decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And his statement is 100% true. But, when you look at offenses and you look at defenses, you hear it many times, much like a baseball analogy, from your catcher to your middle infielders and center fielder. You got to be strong up the middle. And you got to have that just based on calls and recognitions of defense from your center. This is my 10th year at the FBS level as a head coach. This will only be the 3rd different starting center. For 9 years between Buffalo and here, and one guy was at both places, we've played with 2 centers.
Wow.
So the stability and trust was something that we were really spoiled with and comfortable with. Mike Nowitzki, and we had a guy before him named James O'Hagan, who's now in coaching. And so Bryce Foster won the job to transfer from Texas A&M. I think he has 23 career SEC starts. Shane Baumgartner transferred in from Tiffin University, Division II school in Ohio, last January. And Shane really improved from the end of spring ball last year through fall to fall camp. Got bigger, got stronger, understood the offense better. Really had time. Bryce joined us in June, but as time went along, he won the job. But Shane's going to play, and Shane can go in the center, and Bryce can move over to guard if we need to. So Bryce has played some, and I don't know. Dominic Pooney was named a starter for the San Francisco 49ers. Just a week ago or something in his rookie season. We thought he was a special player when he transferred to us. I don't know if we have one like that per se, but I really like where we are 1 through 10 in the offensive line as far as competition, gap between starter and backup and the ability to play maybe more guys rotationally and hopefully keep guys fresh for the fourth quarter. And, of course, if injuries do occur, have very little drop-off.
When you look elsewhere on that offense at the depth chart, Coach, I just see so many familiar names. Obviously, Jalen Daniels has had the injury issues that kept him out, but when he's been healthy, we've seen what he can do at quarterback. Running back at the two deep is familiar names that have produced. Wide receivers the same way. Tight end Jared Casey has been around. We remember his heroics and all those things. But you have a new offensive coordinator. So I'm curious, with the familiarity in terms of personnel, but the change in terms of coaching, how different will this offense be this year?
Well, I'll be interested to hear what people think after they watch us play Thursday and maybe through the preseason to see what they notice. I think as we went through this process, I think Jeff Grimes has done an outstanding job and probably, I probably didn't even take it completely in the thought all I was really asking him to do when he took this job, because part of it when we met Jonathan Wallace, our running back coach, who had was familiar with Jeff when he was a player at Auburn, and Jeff was the offensive line coach. The three of us met in Dallas, Texas at a hotel for about 5 hours on some general thing, philosophy, talking through things and all of that to see if it was going to be a fit. But one thing, there were a few stipulations from my chair as the head coach, and one was we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and we're going to use our terminology. And a lot of guys wouldn't be comfortable with that, and that's hard. But Jim Zabrowski, our co-offense coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Jonathan, Terry Samuel, our receivers coach, he had people in there that could help him. Scott Fuchs was with us and then went to the Tennessee Titans. But we hired Darrell Leipold, who had been with me at Whitewater and for 4 years at Buffalo. So he was familiar with terminology as well. So as I told people here the last few weeks, Jeff was like learning a foreign language. You have to learn what all the words mean and all that, and spring was a learning process. But I could easily tell that he was more comfortable, the staff was more comfortable through their summer preparation, that when we were on the field the first week of camp, that he was very much in a groove of what we're doing, and I'm excited to see this offense play Thursday and beyond.
All right, you mentioned Thursday. The opponent is Lindenwood, and I watched some of your press conference, and you talked about visiting them and watching them run camp and how impressed you were, and that's when the conversation started about having them on the schedule. So maybe tell us a little bit of what you know about their rising program.
Yeah, Jed Stugart was a head coach at Mid-American Nazarene, or coached there at one time. I don't know for sure. He was the head coach like 06 through 08. But I met Jed more when he was an assistant coach at Northern Colorado, and I was at Nebraska Omaha. So, he in Northern Colorado was a D2 power, had a lot of success under Joe Glenn, who eventually moved on to Wyoming and some things. But so you can, I mentioned those camps. It's amazing, guys, because they run these camps just on their game field, and they have thousands of kids in a day. And, one group stretching in the end zone, the other they're testing on the sideline, and then they're doing position drills. And it is pretty tight, but they get a lot of work done. Coaches from all levels, it's packed. And, so to me, it was when you can see that type of organization and a framework, that he has a plan that he's going to transition this team. And like a lot of schools, when you look at FCS opponents, there's a lot of different things in the schedule that you want to look for. But for me, part of it was for this one was proximity. And I was talking to him at the camp one year, and after they had transitioned, he was telling me some things. I just said, "Hey, would you ever be interested in playing?" And he said, "Absolutely. I think it'd be a great experience for our guys." Now, I didn't think it would happen as quickly as it did, or in the venue that we're going to play in. But I still think it'll be good. And one thing about FCS, they can always add players even more so that you never really hear about because they don't get the coverage that that many of us at the Power 4 level now get. So you don't even know some sleepers that might be there and other little things they might change. So we're going to have to be focused and disciplined in our approach, and especially early in that game.
All right, Coach, as we wrap things up, the thing I wanted to ask you about last is the fact you touched on playing in some different venues, and you're going to be playing in one of my favorite buildings on planet Earth here a couple of times, a place I spent a lot of time in at Children's Mercy Park. And I'm just curious what the challenges are like for you logistically getting ready to play your home games in different buildings, and especially in a stadium that's unique. I mean, they've played football games there, but it's not designed for college football. Your thoughts on playing here at Children's Mercy Park?
Well, I think it's going to be a great experience. It is different. There are some challenges. We practiced there like our fourth practice at camp, so it was a while ago. But like you said, I made one other trip there to kind of walk the facility and see it. But it's more under, our operations, our training staff and doctors, our strength staff, and organizing our pregame routines, how we're going to work halftime. We end up splitting the team up into two different areas to get dressed, things like that. But, I think what helped us, Nate, was really last year's bowl game, because playing in a baseball stadium can be a little different. And really what you're talking about is locker room facilities and maybe the walk to the field and that. But, obviously soccer stadiums have a lot more width once it's lined for football, so sidelines shouldn't be. I mean, you play at Oklahoma or Oklahoma State, you got about 5 feet before you hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
I mean, those are a little more confined. So I think we'll be fine. I think, as you know, what was very apparent is that it can create quite an environment just in the way it was constructed with the overhang and the sound system. I think it's going to be a heck of an experience and one that I hope everyone enjoys. But most importantly is that we make sure we don't let any of this, because we can't control it, is distract us or think it's going to be a reason not to play to our fullest abilities.
And you can listen to the game also right here on Thursday night on Sports Radio 810 WHP. Coach, it's a pleasure talking with you. I consider you a friend, so I'll make one. And look, you don't have to answer me now. Just one quick request. I know you monitor everything going on in the conference, and maybe you've seen that Deion Sanders has banned a reporter from asking him questions. I was wondering if perhaps you would be willing to ban Nate Bukaty from this segment moving forward. We could talk about that off the air, maybe. Just, I don't know. It doesn't have to be from you, just from the athletic department, just something, just throwing it out there.
Well,
Jason Booker's texting me right now.
I don't know what you think. But
yeah. As they say, everything's negotiable, right?
Right. Well, we'll start negotiating, Coach. Expect a text message in a few hours. Coach, thank you. Good luck on Thursday.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for your time. Rock Chalk.
I'm trying to ban
what are you
me
looking
for?
at me for? I'm not trying to ban you.
Sounds like you are.
I'm not. I said I told him to.
Oh, you're not trying to ban me. You're trying to get someone else to ban me.
Right.
All right, now I get it.
Blood on my hands. We'll take a break. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB.